Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon and today we're back with another Enlisted video. And this time we're going to be talking about the Enlisted tech tree, or should I say, what I think Enlisted should be getting next. For those who don't know, Enlisted has, as of right now, 4 trees. These are the Americans, the Soviets, the Japanese, and the Germans. Of course, I highly suggest that Enlisted add more tech trees, and like with my last video talking about France and China, and of course Sweden, we're going to be talking about Italy this time. For those who don't know, the Italian tech tree is kind of already enlisted with the Germans, but not quite because Italy is not a separate tech tree. My personal suggestion is to have the Italians and the British as a separate tech tree because the Italians and the British are already in game, so that's going to make these tech trees easier. But that said, let's get started with Italy. Starting with the rifles, we have Tier 1. Starting with Tier 1, we have the Carcano M41, the Carcano Mod 38. These are the 2 weapons that Enlisted has right now, and of course, my personal suggestion is to add the M1870 Italian Peterli. This is another Italian rifle that I think is pretty good addition. At Tier 2, we have the Carcano M1891, the Carcano M1891 Carbine, and Armaguerra Mod 39. Once again, all of these are in-game. Moving on to Tier 3, we have some new weapons. We have the Tromboncino M28 Grenade Launcher, the Breda Modello 1931, and the CA Rigotti, the 10-round version. Now, for those who don't know, the CA Rigotti is a semi-automatic Italian rifle used by the Italian military pre-World War I. So this thing is actually quite old. Everything else are bolt-action rifles / grenade launchers. And moving on to Tier 4, we have the CA Rigotti with the 20-round magazine, which is actually a very good suggestion because it is still a semi-automatic rifle, and it's still pretty good. We also have the Breda BM59 with also the 20-round magazine. At Tier 5, we have the Breda PG. This is the 20-round Breda PG with a 4-round burst. This is actually in-game right now, but my personal suggestion is to give it to the Italians at Tier 5. So remove it from the event, or, well, keep the current ones as events, but give this as the new event weapons for Italy. For SMGs, we have the Beretta M38 with a 20-round magazine. I'm also deciding to move the OVP M1918 and the Beretta M1918 to Tier 1. At Tier 2, we have the FNAP 43, Beretta M1. Of course, all of these are essentially weapons that we have in game right now. Moving on to Tier 3, we have the Armaguerra OG 4344. My personal suggestion is to give the 20-round version, and I hopefully Enlisted gives a boost on the fire rate, which I hope they do. Also, for those who are wondering, yes, the OG43 is, as of right now, is in-game, but I personally suggest Enlisted giving us the OG44, because that thing is slightly better than the OG43. The Beretta M3840 is at Tier 3, so I'm not gonna talk more about it. And of course, we also have the Ansada Corsetti, so that thing's interesting. At Tier 4, we have the TZ45. Personally suggest you can either put it in Tier 4 or Tier 3. We also have the Ottolani submachine gun and the Modello Albertini. Of course, at Tier 5 with the Scotti naval rifle, the reason why that thing is there, and for those who don't know, it's essentially the Italian version of the Fedorov, so that's that. In terms of LMGs, we have the Breda Mod 30 and the Breda 5C. For those who don't know, the Breda Mod 30 is in-game, and for those who want to know more, the Breda Mod 5C is essentially a better version of the Breda Mod 30. We have the ZB25 and the Villa Perosa at Tier 3. The Villa Perosa is essentially 2 OVP 1918s together. That is essentially like a very fast-firing machine gun. It was used in World War I, and sometimes mounted on planes. At Tier 4, we have the Fiat Rivelli M1914. This is a heavy machine gun similar to the British Vickers, or the American, or the Soviet Maxim. My personal suggestion is that to use this like the MG08, which can be moved around. And at Tier 5, we have the ZB53 with the 100-round magazine. This is a Czech machine gun, which I think is pretty useful for the Italians. The reason why all of these are here is because Italy does not have a lot of good light machine guns. But let's move on to the heavy weapons. Moving on, we have the PZB MSS41. This is an anti-tank rifle. Next, at Tier 2, we have the Schultrum S19. For those who don't know, this is a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle. This with the Fiat 626 and the Moto Guzzi Alspereda. For those who don't know, the Fiat 626 is a truck, or should I say an APC, and the Moto Guzzi Alce is essentially it's a motorcycle. Of course, this specific Italian motorcycle also had a Breda Mod 30, of which the driver was also the gunner, so that's going to be interesting. At tier 3, we have the Lanciafiamme Model 35, once again another flamethrower, and the Panzerfaust 60, because at this point Italy doesn't have any heavy anti-tank weapons. At tier 4, we have the Lanciafiamme Model 41 and the Panzerfaust 100. At tier 5, I honestly suggest whatever the Germans have for their anti-tank weapons to give it to the Italians. In terms of tanks, we have the Scemavente da 2070. This is essentially a flat gun, of which it's a quad flat gun mounted on a Scemavente. Moving on, we have the 7532, once again another tank that we have in game right now, and the M1441, which is once again another tank that we have in game right now. Moving on, we have the Scemavente 4732, we have the M1542, and the AB43. Of course, the amount of tanks enlisted right now is already a lot, so I'm just going to leave a lot of them out because the ones that we have in game, I'm just going to keep. After that, we have the Saliere Sahariano. For those who don't know, this is essentially the Italian version of the Crusader, but in my opinion, a lot better. And we have the P40 and the 105/25 M43. For those who don't know, the 105 is essentially a Scemavente with a massive 105 gun. Moving on, we have the P43 bis. Now, as of right now, these are highly experimental tanks, and these should be highly experimental tanks, because the P43 bis almost never saw action. As a matter of fact, it was only made as a mock-up. The 7543 M43 is also a Scemavente, just with a 75mm gun. Now, this 75mm gun is much, much better. And at tier 5, I seriously cannot think of any other tank except for the Scemavente 9053. For those who don't know, if you've seen the Waffenträger, this is the Italian version of the Waffenträger. Literally, that's all I need to say. In terms of planes, we have the RE2000, the Breda 88 for tier 1. We have the C202, the G55 at tier 2. We have the FC BIS and the RE2002. For those who don't know, the FC20 BIS is essentially the Italian version of the BF110. At tier 4, we have the RE2001 and we have the RO57. And at tier 5, we have the RE2005 with the 500 kilogram bombs. Of course, this is still a fighter, mind you. In terms of pistols, we already have most of them in game, so I've just added a few. And overall, I highly suggest that Enlisted adds these to Italy, or I highly suggest that Enlisted create Italy as soon as possible and give us Italy and United Kingdom as soon as possible. But this is my suggestion for the Italian tech tree. What do you guys think? What do you guys think Enlisted should add? And are there any suggestions? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord, and I'll see you in the next one.